Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name's Stephen Harvey. Great to have you in here on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Tuesday?
I'm good.
Knicks played last night.
Yeah.
Hell of a game.
Yeah, really good game. They did a lot. They were lucky to win that game. I thought there was a chance they could lose there. They were behind most of the way.
No, it did look like Indiana had a very, very good shot until Jalen Brunson went off in the fourth quarter, as well as we got some news coming from the NFL, but let's stick with the NBA at least for the time being, because Miami Heat president Pat Riley, he had an interesting comment at the end of the season press conference where he criticized star player Jimmy Butler twice, actually. Once when he made a recent comment, which we're going to show right now, about how Jimmy Butler said basically how the Heat, if he were healthy, he could have beaten the Celtics as well as the Knicks. So take a listen to what Pat Riley had to say in response to Jimmy Butler's take.
You know, for him to say that, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? If you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut in your criticism of those teams.
Pat Riley also criticized Jimmy Butler for his lack of availability, basically because Jimmy Butler has not played more than 70 or more games, since he actually came over to the Miami Heat all the way back in 2019. The highest he ever played was 64, and that was last season. But I want to know, now Jimmy Butler does have 1 year left on his contract, and then he also does have a player option after next season. But do you think that Jimmy Butler will finish out next year, because he's also looking for an extension, do you think he'll finish out next year as a member of the Miami Heat?
I don't know. I think there's some question about that. I mean, the way Pat Riley said that, it wasn't like he was saying he should keep his mouth shut. He was more like, he should keep his mouth shut. I don't think it was like, but it raised I don't think it was meant to really be hurtful the way he said it. I think he just said, you should keep your mouth shut. And he did preface it to saying, I don't know if that's Jimmy trolling or, Jimmy serious. I'm not sure, but he should keep his mouth shut. He just said it like that. I mean, he didn't say it like he's pointing his finger and yelling. And so the tone of his voice was a little lighter than I thought, but it did raise a lot of eyebrows around the NBA. According to the caster I was reading about, his phone was lighting up saying, what is going on there? What's Pat Riley? Is he sending a message? We don't want Jimmy Butler anymore. I think that Jimmy's going to want a extension, and he's going to want it probably before this season starts, because he is in the last year of his contract. And if they don't give it to him, then he's going to be upset, I think, and that could affect the chemistry of the team. And he's had problems elsewhere, right? Let's think back over his history. When he was with the Bulls, he was confrontational with people, and he wanted out of there. So he's been relatively happy in Miami, and well, he should be. They've had a lot of success with him there, and the team, the coaching of the team is excellent. The leadership from the head office is excellent. The culture of the team is, you couldn't ask for better. For a team that was an 8th seed last year to make it all the way to the finals and make some big upsets along the way. I mean, that was historic. That's something that people will remember. There's only 2 teams, I think, that ever have done it, them and one other that made it from the 8th seed to the finals. So I don't know. I'd like to hear your take on it, and then maybe I'll come back with some extra comments.
Well, I think by the end of this upcoming season, I think we'll hear a lot of turmoil already. Jimmy Butler saying this, and then Pat Riley basically immediately responding to this, saying, well, keep your mouth shut. You're not out there playing. He also we only have the soundbite of him saying keep your mouth shut, but he also criticized him for his lack of availability. Now we know Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy Butler, where he explodes in the playoffs. We saw it last season where he went up against the Milwaukee Bucks, the 1 seed, scored a couple 50-point games, 40-point games, and took over the series. We were able to beat the Bucks in 5 games. This time he had an MCL sprain, was not able to play this entire series, and now he's talking about, oh yeah, definitely, Boston would have been a home game. New York, it would have been a home game. Maybe. But you're not playing. You're out there partying. On 3, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. That's where they're at right now. He's out there partying. The Heat are getting whooped by the Celtics. You lost in 5. I will say, though, I just don't think the Heat are ready to win. Butler's made it to 2 NBA Finals. He's lost. And he's got lost in pretty devastating fashion. Now, the first one in the bubble kind of put the team on his back. He had to. This time around, the Nuggets were just an entirely better team, deeper team, more consistent team. But when I think about this Heat team, are they really ready to win? Because while they have some promising young talent in Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic, it's not really built to win. You got Bam and you got Jimmy Butler. Those are probably your two most consistent guys. Tyler Hero, hit or miss. I would lean towards mostly hit, though. But you got, like, Patty Mills as well. You got Terry Rozier, who he was also hurt during this playoff series as well. I just don't think this Heat team is ready to win. But what I do think, though, is that Jimmy Butler's expecting a contract extension basically immediately. Now, the window to give him the extension opens July 7th. Pat Riley has until June 30th to make that decision of next year. So there is about a year of time, a little bit less than a year of time, for the Heat to sort of sort this out. But it also would require them paying upwards of $113 million over 2 years, which would, I guess, include his player option. Or he would give up the player option for, 2025, 2026, and they would give him that 3-year extension. So
it's a lot of money.
It would be a lot of money for a guy who's currently 34 years old and already dealing with injuries. And then it's a MCL is not a great injury to have 34 years old. But this Heat team is not ready to win. I don't think you go up against this Knicks team. This Knicks team is completely different than last year. This Celtics team is completely different than last year.
I think the Heat, they wanted Lillard.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
They tried very hard to get Lillard. They were willing to give up Hero for him, and who was Lillard? Lillard paid for the
Portland Trailblazers.
Portland Trailblazers. Sorry. They didn't want him. They didn't want Hero. So the Heat couldn't put the package together to get Lillard, and that was a problem, right? That's a problem. They didn't get. If they'd had Lillard, it could have been different, right? If they'd had him, maybe. Bam, and Jimmy Butler, that's a big three.
Yeah.
Right? And that would have made a big difference. So the fact that they couldn't get Lillard, they didn't re-sign any of their the players that were undrafted players who were helpful to that team, particularly from the culture part of it, right? They gave them a spark, and those guys were good, and they lost all three of them, right. So I think the Heat were back on their heels a little bit this year with the roster that they had, and they did well actually to make the playoffs, and it showed once they got up against the Celtics that they weren't going anywhere. I mean, it was a gentleman's sweep. They won one game in Boston,
right?
Which I couldn't believe happened, but it did.
Well, they made, 22 three-pointers, 23 three-pointers?
Why they didn't use that style the rest of the way, just keep shooting the three.
Couldn't hit it.
I guess that's right. They couldn't hit it. So I do think there's an issue here. As you say, Jimmy Butler doesn't play that many games, right? He rarely plays more than 70 games. And if you're going to give somebody $113 million, you expect them to be out there almost every game. And his history says that ain't going to happen. And Butler equals confrontation. We've seen it in prior teams that he played for. He's been pretty calm and with the Heat, I think largely because he respects the leadership and the coaching, and they've been successful. And success solves all problems generally.
Yeah.
But now with these comments from Riley, and if he doesn't get the extension, maybe he pushes for a divorce.
I think that's probably more likely too, because I just think he's going to get frustrated. And the Trailblazers offered all the way back in August, it seems like ages ago, just for Damian Lillard, it would be Tyler Hero, Nikola Jovic, up to 3 first-round picks, cap relief pick swaps, as well as second-round picks. Trailblazers wouldn't bite at all. And the main point of that was they want because they already had Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson, and Anthony Simons. Now, what they actually wanted was other Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo. I don't know, Dame and Jimmy, Bam and Dame. I don't know, what combination would be better, but all I know is that Damian Lillard scored 24 points and 7 assists this year, shooting 35% from 3. Jimmy Butler, while he didn't play horrible this year, he also didn't play great. 20 points, 5 assists. He did shoot very well from 3, 41%, but it wasn't on that many attempts. He took 2 3-point attempts compared to Dame's 8.
Lillard got injured in the playoffs too.
He did, but he also played 73 games. He's much more available over the course of his career than Jimmy Butler has been.
I think the Heat were trying to put the big three together: Bam, Jimmy, and Lillard.
Yeah,
and that would have been a different. That could have made a difference, I think, big time. And they didn't. They weren't able to pull that off. They thought they were going to be able to do it. They offered a lot. That's a lot to offer, right? You mentioned all that they were willing to give, and they couldn't get it done. And I think that surprised them. And they didn't have a real good plan B. They really didn't. They lost those three undrafted players who gave them a spark, and they didn't really add anyone. Really, right? They didn't really add anybody.
They tried to go through young players into the draft. Tommy Hawk is I would say a young budding star, but if you like, for instance, Max Strus, he had a pretty decent impact for the Celtics. For the Heat against the Celtics last year, as well as Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent just being a great defensive piece for the Heat. You know, trailing Jalen Brunson the entire length of the court, disrupting Derek White, disrupting Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart. Yeah. That became a problem for the Celtics. So you let them go. Now, while Gabe Vincent had a horrible year, he only averaged 3 points with the Lakers.
I don't think he played much for the Lakers.
No, he only played 11 games. He started none of them, compared to the Heat, where he started 34, played 68 that last year, and had 9 points.
He must be unhappy.
I mean...
Was he on a one-year deal, I wonder?
I'm not. I don't know. The contract's not in front of me. Max Strus, though, 12 points. He had a career year this year. He shot 35% from three. He had a total 41% from two. He had a pretty good year for the Cavs. Now the Cavs are still in the playoffs.
Cavs are still
playing. We'll see him play tonight against the Boston Celtics. Let's see if Max Strus does any damage.
Has had some good games against Boston.
Yeah, no, he has. So
he's probably
we'll
looking forward to the playoff with them.
But that's the big thing, though. You had these role player type of guys hitting some big time shots. Gabe Vincent hit a couple nice shots. Max Strus hit a couple nice shots. Caleb Martin hit a couple nice shots. And on top of that, the defense was pretty good, coming from especially Gabe Vincent taking up the point guard, the one spot. Now you don't really have that. You're banking on young guys blending with old guys, and some of the old guys aren't even there anymore. So it didn't really work this year. Next year, you're going to come in, and my guess is there'll be some changes when it comes to rotational pieces. Tyler Hero, I think, could be traded again. I think there's a shot he's on the trade block to be moved. I think you need to at this point to bring in another player to complement Bam and Butler more effectively, and especially with Jimmy Butler, not playing a significant amount of games per year since he came to the Heat. You got to figure out another guy to put in that situation where, in case Butler gets hurt, who's another forward that could step up? If you really, they also, Kyle Lowry as well, they had this year. You have Terry Rozier. So
Rozier, maybe.
I'm sorry, no, Kyle Lowry went to the 76ers. So they had Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero,
Rozier,
Patty Mills.
Yeah, and Patty Mills is old.
He is, 14
Kevin
year
Love
veteran.
is old.
Yep.
The Heat need to go out and get a player. If they're going to hang on to Jimmy Butler, give him the extension, they have to get another player. They got to get a big three going there. Bam is solid, man. That guy, he's something else.
He tried his best out there.
He did.
There's one game where he had 25 points, 17 rebounds, something like that. He tried his very, very best.
I think he outplayed Porzingis because Porzingis got hurt, but I think he outplayed Porzingis in that series. He's tougher.
I would agree that he is tougher. He's more physical than Porzingis. Porzingis is a very thin guy, shoots the three. Yeah. Porzingis will get down low and body you up. And that actually was one of my fears, is that how can Bam do against, or rather, how can Porzingis do against Bam?
Not so well. He wound up getting hurt.
Well, yeah, it was unfortunate. Well, I mean, it was a non-contact injury, but not really. Right now, I'd say there's a little bit of tension between Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler.
I think you're right.
So we'll have to wait.
Maybe by design. Maybe it's sending him a message saying, you know what, it's not a layup that you're going to get an extension with us. It's an insult to the rest of the players to say something like that. I think that's against the Heat's culture too, don't you?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that you come out and say, "Hey, if I'd been playing, we would have won." What does that say to your teammates?
You weren't playing.
Yeah,
it's not really. Yeah.
You're not playing. Keep your mouth shut.
It's putting the I in team. Yeah. It's putting the I in team.
Yeah, I think Riley's comments sort of made a comment to Butler: "Don't disrupt our culture." Maybe. You don't say something like that. That's not something we say. Nobody else on our team would ever say anything like that.
And that's where I think that I'm sort of disagreeing with you when it's like, oh, just keep your mouth shut. No, I think it's like, watch what you say, because you weren't there. You weren't helping the team. If anything, you were a major detriment to the team because you weren't out there. You're chilling over there partying, getting drunk, and we're over here trying to, we're trying to beat the number one team in the NBA over here. So
could have been on the bench rooting for him.
Could have been. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Good job for the Miami Heat. All right, let's get into our next topic of today's show. So, CBS Sports analyst Aditi Kinkhabwala, I definitely butchered that name. She went on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show podcast and basically spoke about Russell Wilson's struggles with Sean Payton's offense, and this is what she had to say. He was constantly climbing out of the back of the pocket. He struggled with snap counts. He couldn't manage or handle the play calling. They went from putting a wristband on him to by the end of the season, all the play calls had to be 2 words, and everybody else was required to know what the play calls were. It's pretty crazy and bold statement, especially since Russell Wilson didn't have that poor of a year. He had last year, he had 66% completion percentage, 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Those two numbers, the touchdowns and interceptions, were miles beyond the year previous, where he had 16 touchdowns and 11 picks. He did get released by the Denver Broncos earlier this year, and now currently resides as the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. And that's where actually I want to start with the question off. Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers should be worried about Russell Wilson being their starting quarterback in 2024?
No, I think that these comments were unfounded, and I think they were actually the Broncos report came out calling them stupid. That Wilson's intelligence was being questioned. They said that there were other issues with the way he managed the system, and she might have pointed a few of those out there. That he had trouble with the Sean Payton system, but it wasn't an intelligence issue. He knew the plays. They were shuffling lots of players in and out of the offense on every play, and that's why they went to. That's what they said. That's why they went to the 2-word play, so everybody would be on the same page quickly when the new personnel were in and out of the game. So it didn't really have anything to do with that. And it's interesting to note this Aditi is a good friend of Kenny Pickett's, and she's also a Browns fan. So I think that there's more there than meets the eye, and I think it's a sour grapes issue with her not liking the fact that Kenny Pickett got traded by the Steelers and they picked up Russell Wilson, and I think she's trying to make a name for herself with this kind of a comment, and it's got our attention, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with what she said.
I'm actually going to say that this is not just sour grapes, regardless of affiliations and potential fandom. I do think that, as reporters, as analysts, that the ethical thing would be is to sort of play sort of the middle ground and be as unfair or be as fair and unbiased as possible. What do we see for immediately? Sean Payton had a clear, and this is not just people, an unnamed source within the Broncos organization said this. No, we saw it on the field that Sean Payton had a serious problem with the way Russell Wilson operated on the field. That's what we saw. So much so that very early on, they wristbanded him. So even if feel like, okay, maybe not the 2-word thing and maybe testing his intelligence, he clearly had a problem with calling out the plays that he didn't know or couldn't say quick enough that they had the wristband so he could be there reading the play out instead of hearing it from Sean Payton or the OC. So clearly there was a legitimate issue there. So I don't think this is all about, testing his intelligence. And yes, Russell Wilson over the course of his career, he's a 9-time Pro Bowler, made it to 2 Super Bowls. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year. He had the most 10-win seasons out of the first 10 years or whatever the case was, the most consecutive 10-win seasons. So he was a very good quarterback. And then you bring him into Nathaniel Hackett's Denver Broncos system. And it's like, oh, what the hell is happening here? He's horrible. And then I always hearken to the worst NFL game I have ever personally watched. There have been 2, but one in particular is the Thursday night game between the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts. That, if someone needed to be tortured, that's a game I would make them watch. Sit there and watch. Because that game was brutal. Was it 12-9? Went into overtime. The 2 quarterbacks looked like absolute busts. It was absolutely horrible. And then this past season with Sean Payton, it was supposed to be much better. And it was a little bit better. Russell Wilson played better. However, if you look a little bit deeper at the numbers, it was much more dink and dunk than him staying in the pocket and throwing the deep pass, which he did a lot of in year one, and this time it was more dink and dunk. And that's actually something that's interesting because Russell Wilson actually operated his best due to his short stature, rolling outside of the pocket and making the deep throw. Well, with the way the Broncos are constructed, their offensive line is not that great, and their receiving talent isn't, we're talking top 10 in the league. Maybe it is this year. Who knows? Probably not. But their receiver core wasn't very good. So Russell Wilson was kind of at a bit of a sticky situation with the team. Now he goes over to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who in my prediction, I think they'll go 8-9. I really do, just because I don't think Russell Wilson is that good of a quarterback anymore. I said it, 2 years ago after the 2021 season, or 2022 season, where he played absolutely horrible. I said, this is not a blip, this is a trend. It's going to keep going this way. And Russell Wilson played it safe last year. Wilson played it safe, so it looks a little bit better. But if we're talking about the production on the field, it wasn't really that much. So much so that Bailey Zappi came back from, was it 20 points down in the third quarter and was able to beat the Patriots? That's this team? Russell Wilson going to score a point against the Patriots when they were up and let Bailey Zappi mount one of the greatest comebacks that the Patriots have seen in a long time?
That was a good game. I enjoyed that game.
It was a good game. But if you're a Patriots fan, if you're a Broncos fan, you tear your hair out.
So let me ask you this, Nate.
Yeah.
A 9-time Pro Bowler.
Yep.
2-time Super Bowl appearance.
Yep.
1-time Super Bowl winner.
Yep.
Most 10-win consecutive seasons in the first 10 years of his career. You think he's stupid?
I don't think he's stupid. I just think he's not good anymore. Because if
but this is making him out to be ignorant. Do you think he's ignorant and stupid?
Well, I think I'm not saying he's cognitively impaired. What I am saying, though, is that we saw immediately that he could not run Sean Payton's system. So much so, you had to give him a wristband. And then apparently everybody needs to know their roles. If he says like White Panther, everybody knows what White Panther means in their own certain particular role within the play call.
I actually think that's a good way to do it.
It makes it so much more complicated.
Sometimes it's hard to hear in the huddle.
That's true,
right? Particularly like in Seattle, right, with the way the stadium is constructed, where it kind of overhangs there. The 12th fan, as they say, making a huge 12th player there. The fans making so much noise that the offense can't hear what's going on. So having a play calling system where it's 2 words, I think that makes sense. Actually, I don't think that's a bad idea. And how about this idea? This Aditi Kinkhabawa is really Gilbert Arenas in a woman's body.
Gilbert Arenas?
Yeah, trying to make a name for herself with some outrageous, crazy stuff.
Gilbert Arenas.
That's a crazy thing, Nate.
No, it's not.
We saw it not stupid.
We visually saw that Sean Payton.
This is a Gilbert Arenas. This is a Gilbert Arenas play. Trying to make a name for herself with a wacky thing.
Well, no, the problem with Gilbert Arenas' take is that there is literally no basis to it. You call Nikola Jokic statistically the worst MVP in 20 years or 40 years, and I can list you maybe 10, 12, 15 players which Jokic beats out in stats. That's uncalled for. What Kinkhabawala is saying, basically, and we saw it. Look at the Jets game. He fumbled that game away. They were driving, and he fumbled it away. Yeah. Are we going to call Brian Daboll out? Are we going to say, oh, well, he's being a little bit too hard on Daniel Jones? You know, he did throw a 97-yard pick six to Devin Witherspoon, and it's not nice to criticize him on the side. No. If he can't run your offense, do we criticize?
But was he not able to run the offense because he was stupid? I don't think so. I think he wasn't able to run the offense because it didn't fit his style of play.
Yeah,
and it was a new coach, and he had 1 year to figure it out, and he didn't do well with it. But I don't think it means he's stupid. And this is what she's implying, that he's a dumbbell. And I don't buy that. He's not.
Well, maybe that's the tone you're getting from it. But
that's what the headlines all say.
Couldn't manage or handle the play calling. That's true.
She made her point. She got a lot of coverage from this by trying to implicate that Russell Wilson's dumb, and he's not. And that's what her point was. He may not have done well with Sean Payton. His stats weren't that bad last year. He did make some mistakes. He didn't fit that well in the system, but it's not because he's dumb.
Cognitively, no. But this is not saying, well, by the way, this is not, this take, if you want to call it, this analysis is not something that we can't physically see. It's not like this is just coming out of thin air or just a hot take. We saw this visually. We saw Sean Payton have a problem, so much so, benched him for the last 2 games of the season. We heard a report toward the end of the year that they wanted to bench him at the midway point because of his contract.
The Broncos came out and said that what she said was made no sense.
People on Broncos radio said it was ridiculous, not necessarily people from the Denver, and they're supposed to. You're never going to hear a team come out and say that this guy can't make plays for our offense. You can't. You know why you can't? Because you're stupid enough, if that is the case. If that is the case, where Russell Wilson cognitively could not run a Sean Payton-style offense, then you are an idiot for giving him a massive contract. You are paying him a total of...
he got the massive contract before Sean Payton even arrived on the scene.
Right. So you're stupid in that regard because he didn't play a single snap before you gave him, a 4 or 5 year extension. You're paying him $39 million to not play for you.
So you're saying the Broncos leadership was stupid?
To give Russell Wilson
that's where the ignorance was. It was with the leadership of the Broncos, not with Russell Wilson. To give him an extension before
he plays a snap for you is idiotic on so many levels. Because what we saw towards the end of Seattle was not that great. Really not that great.
Seattle got the better end of that deal for sure.
100%. But am I going to come out and say, no, Russell Wilson's not smart? No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay, good. Because that was the point that Aditi was trying to make.
I don't take it that way.
And that's what the headlines are. That's what the headlines came out as. He's a dumbbell.
The only thing we can't physically see is whether or not the play calls were 2 words. We saw them put a wristband on him. We saw that based on his numbers. When he was on script and off script, 2 completely different quarterbacks. We saw that. We saw Sean Payton yelling at him. The only thing we don't know is whether or not the play calling legitimately went to 2 words. And, maybe you're right. Maybe some schemes have 2 words because of Arrowhead, the loudest stadium in the NFL. Yeah. The 12th
My
man
own
in
thought
Seattle.
is that Sean Payton had kind of made up his mind about Russell Wilson before he even came to coach the team. He didn't like the fact. He didn't like the fact the way he interacted with the players, had his own office.
Yeah.
And he was kind of standoff-ish, and he had his own thing.
Maybe he didn't give him a shot.
He didn't.
He didn't
give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he already had a preconceived notion about how he felt about him before he even arrived as the coach, and it played out. There was problems all the way through, and at the end they let him go.
Well, I could also say that Sean Payton going into a Russell Wilson offense that looked anemic, so much so that Nathaniel Hackett got fired first year in before the end of the season. That's bad. That is very, very bad. However, we could all know this now. The Broncos weren't prepared for Russell Wilson to be their quarterback. They wanted Aaron Rodgers. That's why they got Nathaniel Hackett. So they went into a system where nothing was going to work out.
Yeah.
Wrong coach for the wrong quarterback, and a quarterback who towards the end of Seattle didn't look all that great. So the entire thing was just a complete mess, and Sean Payton probably had a preconceived notion of, I don't like him already. I don't think he could fit into my style offense. And maybe that is the case. Now, he did draft Bo Nix, and Bo Nix has fought through adversity when it comes to coaching and play calling. He's had 4 head coaches over his college career. Wow. So to be able to pick up an offense, and there was also a quote that I saw that was absolutely incredible, and that then I think Bo Nix is going to be a underrated star in a very, very short order of the NFL. And if I can find it quickly, I will. But I think that, here we go. So Adam Schefter reported back in April 25th that Denver held a private workout with Bo Nix the day after his pro day. The night before his workout, the Broncos sent Bo Nix 3 packets of offensive play installation. The next morning, as they worked in the classroom with Nix, he, quote, crushed it, per a Broncos source. The Broncos then took Nix from the classroom to the field, watched him throw for an hour, and they were convinced that he was the quarterback that they wanted. So
they were lucky he was there when they drafted, because they did not trade up. They drafted at number 12.
Yeah. So I think the way that this worked out, I think Bo Nix will be that type of guy who Sean Payton could attach himself to and say, this guy looked at every playbook known to man in college. He played for 4 head coaches and a bunch of more OCs. Then he had 5 OCs as well. So the offensive schemes were different probably over the course of his tenure at college. I think we're going to see a Broncos team that is it's going to be sort of in the dark for a while.
I think so.
And then
That's
it's gonna emerge like it's a tsunami wave and just crush competition.
Yeah, well, that's
I'm
going
not
to be.
saying
You know
year
what?
one, but
I don't think
good.
that's year one. I would pick them to be last in their division this year.
No, I'm saying Raiders. Raiders going with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. I don't care who's your receiver. I don't care who's your offensive line. Those quarterbacks, now Gardner Minshew showed a little bit of
the Broncos are going to be hurt by the Russell Wilson trade for a couple more years, I think.
Financially, yes.
Yeah.
Russ does go to a
And
system
pick-wise, too. They
Yeah.
gave away their picks.
Yeah. No, I will say, though, the Russell Wilson is on a system with Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson. Not bad. Not bad at all. They also got an upgraded tackle of Troy Fautanu. So, Fautanu, excuse me.
Okay, so my final thought on this is
Sure.
I'm anxious to see Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense.
Yeah,
right? Because
I am too.
if it was the Broncos messed it up for him, then he should rebound and have a great year because the tools will be around him. There'll be enough tools around him for him to be successful in that offense. So we'll see. Was it Russ or was it the Broncos?
I'm betting on it's Russ.
Okay,
I'm betting on it's Russ.
I'm not sure what it is right now, but I'm way anxious to see.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up, we got a lot to talk about. The Knicks were able to beat the Pacers in an absolutely thrilling game, 121-117. We'll talk about that, as well as will Justin Fields go from throwing footballs to catching them and returning them? We'll talk about that right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in here on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show. So the Knicks, congratulations to the New York Knicks. They pulled out an impressive Game 1 win over the Indiana Pacers. Brunson dropped 43 points, which now makes him the first player to have 40-plus points and 5-plus assists in 4 consecutive playoff games. This one went down to the wire. Clutch shots late. Brunson, phenomenal fourth quarter. So I'm going to know, were you surprised that the Knicks were actually able to pull off this win in Game 1 against a very, very good Pacers offense?
Not really. I was a little worried there down the stretch. I mean, they were behind at the end of the first half by 6, at the end of the third quarter by 5, and then in the fourth quarter they outscored the Pacers by 9 points. So it was a comeback win, but they were playing at home.
That's true.
And they are the favorite team, the number 2 seed. So, beating the Pacers was expected. And they delivered. Now, whether they'll be able to continue this torrid pace of having their players play almost every minute of every game is a question mark in my mind. We saw they ran out of gas last year. Well, at least Jalen Brunson did a little bit, and that may happen again. I mean, he's playing 44 minutes last night. Josh Hart playing 48 minutes, played 48 minutes in the previous game, the closeout game against the 76ers. Been playing almost every minute of every game. Had a great game. 13 boards, 8 assists, and 24 points. That's productive, man. Almost a triple-double. And I thought that he's really made a difference for them this year in the playoffs. And Brunson, I still think he's the best player in the playoffs so far. And he's 43 points. 6 boards, 6 assists. Wow. Those two guys, DiVincenzo too, stepping up. 44 minutes, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 25 points. So they got most of their production out of those 3 players. With Anunoby, 13 points, 9 boards. That was impressive. 4 assists, and Hartenstein, who's played better this year, right?
He's played
36
tremendous.
minutes, 13 points, 6 boards, 4 assists. So, they did have some players off the bench. Mitchell Robinson playing 12 minutes. Didn't really have much of an impact. 2 rebounds, 2 points, 1 assist. McBride, 11 minutes, no points this time. He usually hits some threes. That's what they put him in there for. And Achua, he was in there for 4 minutes, 1 point, 1 rebound. So it's the big 3 for the Knicks are Hart, Brunson, and DiVincenzo. They got most of the points, and they played almost all the minutes.
Yeah.
Whether they can keep that up or not, I question. Maybe that will get them through this series. But then they're probably going up against the Celtics, and wow, the Celtics are a lot deeper than they are. So we'll see. It's only 1 game, so it's got a ways to go yet. I want to hear what you have to say, and then I got a few more things I want to say.
So this series, I think, is going to be a shock to a lot of people. I think if you're looking at the Knicks get run out based on how fast the Pacers play, I don't think that's going to happen. If you think the Knicks are going to absolutely shut down with their tremendous defense, a Pacers offense that really is very, very quick, it's not going to happen. This is going to be another back-and-forth battle between a very, very, very quick offense. They're number 2 in offensive rating, number 1 in pace, have a lot of possessions, and they score a lot of points very, very quickly. So this series is going to be a lot of back and forth. It's about how will the Knicks be able to keep up with the fast-paced nature of the Indiana Pacers, because the Knicks showed a little bit of worry there. If the Pacers start hitting shots, I'm going to be worried, because they fell for basically every single pump fake the Pacers threw their way. Mitch Robinson, and I said this now going on for 2 years, Mitch Robinson is not as valuable as people think. Yes, he gets a bunch of offensive rebounds, but we saw when he got out towards the end of last year, the calendar year, Hartenstein stepped up big time, so much so that Mitch isn't even a starter no more, and I don't think he will be moving forward. I just think Hartenstein and Randall will probably be your 1 and your 2 if they decide to keep Randall and not trade him before the beginning of next season. But what I do think, though, and we saw this, Isaiah Jackson, who came off the bench, is a much faster player than Mitch Robinson. So when the Knicks put in their 3 bench players that they decide to play, most of the time it's only 2. If Achua gets any minutes, it's shocking, but they may need to use a couple of the bench players now because they're so thin on the bench. Isaiah Jackson is a much quicker big man than Mitch Robinson can dream to be. So, and because the Pacers have such a fast pace to them, because they get the ball down the court very, very fast, that I think the Knicks are going to be basically outmatched 5v4. Because, I mean, laterally, we saw Jackson run down the court. Mitch Robinson's huffing and puffing like he's carrying 1,000 pounds on his back. That's a problem I got. Also, that I think Isaiah Jackson is going to be I'm not saying dark horse MVP of this series, but I think he should be used a lot more in this series. He played the fewest second half minutes of any player on the Pacers. He was a +7 in the first half. You might want to play him a little bit more. In 5 minutes, he had 2 blocks, 1 assist, and 2 points. He was the only player in the entire game, when matched up with someone, to not give up a single basket. Offensive players against Isaiah Jackson were 0 for 2. So defensively, he had a pretty decent game. I think offensively he needs to be used a little bit more because he's quick, he's agile, he can get around slow Mitch Robinson, and so I think they got to use him more. But I was impressed through and through with Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter. You dropped 21 points in the fourth quarter. Dante DiVincenzo, massive third quarter. He had, I think, 15 points, 15 points in the third quarter. I mean, you got to have players like that. He went 3 of 4 from 3. You have to have players to hit your shots because you are 100% right. This series is a 3-man game. It's the Villanova guys.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo, Brunson, and Hart. That's who you got. If you get no offensive production from any of them, the Pacers will run you off the court because that's what they do.
What do you think happened to Tyrese Halliburton?
I
in
don't
this
know.
Game? He only had 6 points.
And not only that, he took one shot in the second half. One singular shot, and it was in the third quarter. He had no shots in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He is arguably your best player.
Yeah.
He's definitely your
Miles
best
Turner
point.
had a nice game.
He had a very nice game.
23 points. But
Obi
he didn't get
Toppin, my man,
he's a
had a
center.
nice
He
game.
didn't have any rebounds hardly. He only had 2 rebounds.
He's much more of an offensive guy.
I mean, they didn't. The rebounding was not great for the Pacers.
No.
But they
well,
are,
32 total, but
their
Obi Toppin at 6.
Their identity is a high-scoring team, and it looks like they're going to be able to do that, right? They had 117 points.
Yeah.
It took 121 points to beat them, so that's a high-scoring game. The Knicks going to be up for that every night against the Pacers, being able to score over 120 points. I don't know.
And not only that, the Knicks have no bench.
Yeah.
The bench scoring 46 to New York 3. I'm still picking them to win, but I just think by game 5, I mean, we're going to have guys playing 45 minutes a game.
They need to get this series over with quickly if they can, and I don't think it's. I'm not so sure that will happen. It would be nice if it was a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah.
Then they'd get a little rest, but maybe the Celtics are going to. We'll see how they do against Cleveland. Maybe they'll have a gentleman's sweep too. I don't know.
Well, T.J. McConnell also played tremendous defense. 4 of 14 when he was guarding players. 28%. That's 20% from the floor. So he was doing an incredible job defensively. But, you talk about Tyrese Halliburton. 87.5% shooting percentage given up. You can't let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let that happen. So
I think Jalen Brunson, what a steal.
Absolutely.
What a steal.
We
Dallas.
talked about I remember
Dallas, what a mistake.
We talked about it on the show, how much Dallas is kicking themselves for not. And by the way, he came out and said it was a $1 million difference between the Knicks and the Mavs. $1 million. And we said on the show, it's like Jalen Brunson is a tremendous compliment to Luka Doncic.
He's one of the best point guards in the league now.
I would say he's a top 5 MVP candidate.
Yeah.
I think that's a given right now.
He's elevated his game so much. I mean, and Dallas could have kept him, and they were doing well with him.
Yeah.
Right? Now they got Kyrie Irving, who had a great game, by the way, in the closeout game against the Clippers.
Yeah.
But that's a guy I would not trust.
And one last thing. Remember what I harked about in Game 6 of the Knicks series, Sixer series? What's the one thing that I really criticized the Knicks for outside of having a pretty good game? It's one thing.
Just playing the players too much.
Well, no. Free throws.
Oh, right.
Free throws.
Yeah.
84.6%. That's a good percent. Not 71. Brunson, 14 of 14 from the free throw line.
Must have hurt.
Hartenstein, 2 of 2. Not bad.
All right. Mitchell Robinson, did he shoot one?
He did not shoot a single free throw.
That's probably helps that.
Now,
percentage.
Josh Hart, 5'8", don't love that, but he scored 25 points. I'm not going to hate you for it. And he also had 13 rebounds and 8 assists. Nearly had a triple-double. So I'm not gonna hate on you for that. You nearly had a 24-point triple-double. But you know what? 84%, I'll take that from the free throw line. I'm not taking 68%. I'm not taking 72%. You got to be 80, 84, 85 or higher. Because it's going to be games like this where it comes down to the wire, where you need to hit your free throws. And if you can't hit your free throws, then we're going to see more shot attempts because, rebound, push up the court. So I think the Knicks, if this series goes long, I'm nervous because they don't have depth. When they were healthy, they did have a lot of depth. Now, Tom Thibodeau is going to need to play Alec Burks. Unless you want to stick with Precious Achiuwa. Mitch Robinson not having a great series. Miles McBride had 2 good games so far, and people think, he's this tremendous player. No, can he hit an occasional great 3? Yes, he can. But is he going to shake up the entire series? No. But he could have one good game. Game 1, he had a phenomenal game. Then he had another, I think it was game 3 or game 4 where he was okay. But he's not going to shake things up. He's not going to, move the needle in favor of the Knicks.
The Knicks need to go out and get some more Villanova players.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
Look how good those Villanova players are for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
interesting, isn't it?
It's a good connection.
It's interesting.
Something I'm also thinking about is I don't think the Knicks are going to shoot nearly 50% from 3. They shot only 23 threes, made 11 of them, compared to 10 to 26 from the Indiana Pacers. I don't think the Knicks are going to consistently shoot better than you from three. That's not really their MO.
No.
They're a heavy defensive team,
But
which
they're going to
once again-
have to, Nate, because the Pacers' identity is high score.
Then Dante can't have a crap game. He can't disappear like he did in round one. He had what, a good game 6, and he had a good game 1.
Oh, he's off to a good start in the
He's off to a
series.
great start. 25 points. I'll take that every day of the week. But you can't have players disappear. Josh Hart can't score 15 points. Dante can't score 12. Jalen Brunson can score 50. It won't matter. If your two other players that need to put up offense can't score, and the Pacers, with the way they've played, Obi Toppin having a career year for him right now, TJ McConnell, great defense. Pascal Siakam, great pickup for them. Miles Turner, he had a buzzer beater 3 to end the half, I believe, or end the quarter. Tyrese Halliburton, maybe one of the best pure point guards in the league. Now, he needs to actually shoot more than 6 shots and definitely shoot more than 1 shot in the entirety of the second half. And then I think dark horse, significant, impact player in Isaiah Jackson. I'm not saying the Pacers got a shot, but I do think that they'll take the Knicks the distance. And that's where I'm going to get worried. And then I think everybody, depending on how long they play, Josh Hart's playing 48 minutes a night. Jalen Brunson playing 45. You're going up against a Celtics team that actually has depth to it. Most likely playing a Boston Celtics team that has depth to it, because I don't think they'll lose to the Cavs. That's where I think the Knicks can get run out of the building.
Is there a chance that Porzingis will be back for the finals? For the
NBA finals?
No, the Eastern Conference finals.
Probably. Well, that's the soonest, because we saw Giannis. He was out the entirety of the Pacers-Bucks series with the same exact injury. So the most likely option is that Porzingis will be there for these, and maybe that the Celtics, because rust versus rest. You gotta, if they crush the Cavaliers, will they be rusty when they play the Knicks? Will Porzingis be healthy enough?
It's going to be a wild series if it happens.
Absolutely,
it's going to be wild.
Well, now the Knicks play the Pacers, I believe, on Wednesday. That's going to be a hell of a game. Game 2, quick pick. Or are you taking the Knicks to go up 2-0 against the Pacers?
Yes.
I'm saying no. Pacers take game 2. I'm saying it's close, though. I'm saying it is close. All right, let's get into our last topic of today's show. The show is flying by today. So this is actually pretty interesting and maybe concerning if you're a Justin Fields fan. So Jaylen Warren went on Cam Hayward's podcast, Not Just Football, and he talked about special teams coach making a interesting statement about Justin Fields' potential new role. Take a listen.
Our offense or our special teams coordinator was talking about Justin Fields being back there. We're like, hold on.
Whoa, you breaking news already?
We looked at him like, Justin Fields about to be back there, and I don't know. I think it's cool.
I want to know, dude. Oh, first of all, is it a good or bad idea for Justin Fields to potentially be returning kickoffs for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
It's a terrible idea. That is a terrible idea. You don't put your backup quarterback out there on a kickoff return. I mean, the rules have changed now. The defense can't rush the returner until he touches the ball or it hits the ground. So maybe it's more like a running play now, right? It's going to be like they've been doing in the USFL or one of these other leagues, right? Where the
UFL
kickoff,
now, yeah.
The kickoff is the kicker is way back there, but the defense or the kickoff opposing team is up on the 40-yard, the 45 or something like that. So maybe it's more like a running play, but not really. I mean, it's a kickoff. So kickoffs are dangerous. That's where a lot of injuries happen, and that's why they've been tweaking these rules. This is second or third time they've changed the rules now. They did have the kickoff up 5 more yards, and so most of the kickoffs go into the end zone, so it's not even a play anymore. 80% of them are that. So I think this new rule will be interesting to watch, but I don't think Justin Fields should be the guy back there taking the kickoff return when you're the backup quarterback and the risk of injury is high.
I'll also say, well, first off, I'm going to agree with you where it's just he shouldn't be, because you already have Cordarrelle Patterson, who is
I was going to mention that.
Who is the best kick return. I know people love Devin Hester. I'm pretty sure Patterson has the most kick return touchdowns in NFL history. So he takes the crown for that. So you already have that while he is aging, definitely, he is still used primarily for that role of a kick return specialist. But I think we could all agree. I'm not saying Russ is terrible. He's not going to go out there and throw 6 interceptions in 3 games, and they're going to need to force Justin Fields to be their quarterback 1. And also, why would they? Because they're only paying him, $1 million or so to play quarterback for him. Justin Fields, on the other hand, young, talented, could sit behind a veteran quarterback. You think, we just talked about earlier in the show, 9-time Pro Bowler, made it to 2 Super Bowls, won 1 Super Bowl. You got to learn. However, Justin Fields, mobile guy, tremendous runner, didn't have a great offensive line, so he needed to run the football. It's not out of the ordinary. There's a reason why the Steelers special teams coach came up with this idea or threw the suggestion out. Because what else is he gonna do? He's gonna basically be Trey Lance, sit on the bench and watch, because they already have their quarterback. They're paying Russ veteran minimum to play quarterback for him. They're not paying Justin Fields anything either. But they're paying a guy who's made it to 2 Super Bowls, won 1 Super Bowl. He didn't have a horrible year last year. He's not stupid. Yeah, you're going to harken on he's not stupid either. Yeah. I'll give you that. But also, this idea of quarterbacks returning kicks is not actually out of the ordinary, because we've seen over history the quarterback position has been used. Most recently, we saw Taysom Hill, who's a quarterback tight end hybrid.
It's a different
No, you're right. What about Joe Webb, career backup, Vikings, Panthers? He returned a couple kicks. Tom Matty back with the Baltimore Colts.
That's like ancient times.
Correct. As well as Charlie Trippy back in the 1940s and early 1950s.
Tom Matty was a running back, turned quarterback.
Correct.
Because both...
He backed up Unitas.
Johnny Unitas and Gary Quazzo got hurt.
Right.
And they had no quarterback, so Matty had to be the quarterback.
Hey, you're throwing a football, you're a quarterback.
And they did pretty well with him. He did okay.
No, he did okay. Charlie Trippy, early 1940s and early 50s. He played quarterback, he played safety, he punted, he returned kickoffs, all for the Chicago Cardinals. Now, how about 2 Washington quarterbacks? Sammy Baugh played for the kickoff coverage unit. He played on the kickoff coverage unit, as well as Joe Theismann. He worked as a returner back in the 74-75 season. So we see a couple quarterbacks who do these kickoff returns, maybe.
No, well, I think it's a bad idea.
Taysom Hill, technically he's a quarterback, but he plays a lot of tight end. He's kind of that utility guy, so maybe not counting him. But Joe Webb would probably be that guy who returns kicks. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks punt. We've seen quarterbacks do field goal kicks.
I could see a quarterback being a punter. Danny White used to be the punter for Dallas Cowboys.
Tom Brady punted 3 times in his career. We saw, what's his name? Doug Flutie. He did a drop kick field goal. Yeah. When he was, 42 years old for the Patriots?
For the Patriots.
So we've seen these types of players do out of the ordinary things. Oh, who was the wide receiver? Brad Smith. He was also a quarterback for the Jets. Was it Brad Smith? Yeah, Jets. He played wide receiver and quarterback. I'm pretty sure that's what his name was. We see players who change their roles when they're entering the NFL. Julian Edelman, quarterback, Kent State, wide receiver for the New England Patriots. We saw Logan Thomas, tight end of Washington. He came into the league as a quarterback. So we've seen positional changes throughout the NFL. But going from quarterback to kick returner,
that's not the reason that the Steelers got Justin Fields
absolutely not,
to be a kick returner.
They want him to potentially be their succession plan to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, well, and by the way, it is May. And it's a crazy idea, and it's probably not going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that Cordell Patterson is going to be the guy out there taking the kickoff returns.
And to really just slam this home today, this is not some analyst who's a fan of a certain team. This is the legitimate Steelers special teams coach saying this type of thing. So it's not someone with an agenda.
I don't know. I'd like to see when he said it. Throw that out there. I'm sure they were all laughing when he said that.
I think there could be some serious truth to it, because Justin Fields, unless Russell Wilson gets hurt or plays so bad you need to get off of him, which I think if we're just taking shots at people nowadays, I think the Giants might do with Daniel Jones, because he is horrible. I think there is a shot. If Russ plays that bad or gets hurt, we could see Justin Fields. But outside of that,
you don't think that
not
the
a chance.
Steelers might go for a wildcat offense with Justin Fields coming in
like
every
the
once in a while?
49ers did with Trey Lance
Taysom
in his
Hill,
rookie year?
like the
Maybe,
the
okay.
Saints do with Taysom Hill.
But he's
he could
also
get
a
in
tight
maybe
end, though.
5 or 6 plays a game by doing that.
But
doing something
Taysom
like
Hill's
that.
also a tight end, so he could also catch passes. I'm not seeing Justin Fields going out here, going on a post route and catching a 45-yard pass from Russell Wilson. I'm not seeing that. Could they maybe do a Wildcat? You go, direct snap to Justin Fields just to run it up the gut? Maybe, potentially. And also, Justin Fields not that small of a guy, so he could do that. He's 230. Now, he's also 6'3".
Yeah.
So he's if he was a running back, he'd be a bulky, big running back. But he plays
He's going
quarterback.
to try hard to win the starting job, I'm sure.
He has no shot at doing it.
I know, but he's
Because he
going
has
to try
trouble
hard.
holding on. Oh, the one thing that he would not be good at as a running back is holding on to the football. He has the most fumbles since entering the league. So I think in totality, this is not an outlandish idea, realistic idea. No, I don't know. Unless you want to see what he has, just talent wise, athleticism. That's when you could say, okay, maybe we'll put him as a kick return specialist, as maybe the option 2. You'll have Cordarrelle Patterson, the main guy, and then if it goes left or if it goes right, short, then Justin Fields could pick it up. But this new kickoff rule, it's because the kickoff doesn't exist. It's essentially, you don't even need to televise it, just like you don't televise the coin flip anymore, which used to be a cool thing. You televise a coin flip, you flip it, and it's all good. So I think that the NFL is trying to preserve injuries, and they're also trying to stop it just from being a no play, basically. So I think there is a circumstance where Justin Fields actually does return kicks if they just want to use them just to use them instead of sit on the bench.
He's probably going to go out there and demand it now.
To what kid return
Yeah, he's going to say,
kicks?
come on, you said I could do it. I want to return a kick. Huh? What will they do if he says that?
Week 18, you might see it then.
Maybe.
But then Week 18 may also be his last NFL game if he gets absolutely decked, which maybe with this new kickoff rule, that won't happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a crazy statement, but hey, it's May.
It's May. That's why you hear something like that.
We had voluntary practice was earlier.
They're just
in
out there
April.
fooling around now. They're not really paying much attention.
Well,
to what's going on.
the rookies need to.
Yeah.
Rookies need to. This wasn't part of the show, but I thought that I just want to get your opinion on it. So the Patriots released Nathan Rourke earlier this week.
Oh, no.
The Giants actually picked him up. So that means that QB3 spot, it's a battle between 2 quarterbacks, Joe Milton and Bailey Zappi. Just crazy prediction. Who takes QB3?
I think Bailey's happy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And why are you so surprised?
I think Milton brings a bigger, better skill set. Much better arm strength. Accuracy could be improved a little bit, but so does Bailey Zappi. So you'll take not great accuracy, and then the arm strengths are completely on different levels.
Well, I mean, the Milton could be the practice squad quarterback.
But then why would you have that could
I
be
mean, the
case.
Patriots generally carry 3 quarterbacks.
Well,
they have in the past. They may not.
Well, now you carry one as an emergency quarterback. You can't just have 3 options. But Jacoby Brissett, and this is also fascinating. May's not, given the job. It's going to be Brissett versus May.
Yeah,
we're gonna have 2 quarterback competitions.
Bailey's happy. Thinks he can.
Not
win the
a shot.
He thinks he can win the starting job.
I will bet large sums of money Bailey Zappi will not go into Week 1 against whoever they play, and it allows Bailey Zappi. Western Kentucky backed up Mac Jones, started X amount of games last year, will take the snap for the New England Patriots. Large sums of money, that will not be the case. Because you gave, basically, and it came out today, the Patriots had zero intention of trading up or trading back in the draft. They drafted May at 3. You also got Brissett because of the veteran leadership, the veteran mind.
I'm surprised they drafted 2 quarterbacks, though.
Hey,
why'd they do that?
I'm pretty
Why
sure.
did
I'm
they
pretty
do
sure
that?
I might be mistaken, but I thought the Patriots also did that in Mac Jones's draft as well, where they drafted 2. I'll look at it quickly, but I mean,
I don't really understand that. I mean, for all the things that they need to have draft 2 quarterbacks, it doesn't make sense.
No, I was wrong.
I don't understand that. I really don't.
I mean the
is
skill
Milton.
set,
What is Milton's skill set?
Massive arm.
He's got a massive arm.
Rocket arm.
And what number was he drafted?
Very, very. I could probably give the number.
199.
No, it might.
199 come up and it was theirs, and they said, "Hey, we better take a quarterback."
193.
193. Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure he also dealt with injuries, which is a massive problem with him at Tennessee. So who knows? But hey, Drake May should be the quarterback moving forward. I'm sure we'll have lots to say about Drake May as training camp starts up again.
It could be a long season for Patriots fans.
People could rip me for my take once again, but hey, I'll say this right now. Drake May has a better shot to succeed from day one than Mac Jones ever had in his 3 years there. Don't throw that out there. Let that settle for the time being, as I say. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Harvey Hour. We appreciate all the constant support. You catch us Friday, or rather, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my Stephen Harvey. Catch us Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk about a bunch of NBA games. Nuggets, Timberwolves. We didn't talk about it today. I want to talk about that on Friday.
I told you the Timberwolves.
The Nuggets.
Good surprise.
The Nuggets
Good surprise.
are done.
They beat the Nuggets on their home court.
Twice
now.
So, sweet.
I told you
that.
the Timberwolves could do it.
You did. We both picked the Nuggets, though.
I didn't pick the Nuggets. I should have picked the Timberwolves. Yeah.
Before I fully wrap up the show right now, Celtics 28-25. There you go. My name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We'll catch you in the next one, Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security.